I have the other one tatted on my side. It's a quote that my dad always said to me of do not despise the days of small beginnings. So the days of just hardship or the days of where you just feeling down or whatever. Because I personally have depression. I had to take meds for it, and it's sometimes it's hard. And I understand that these cloudy days don't last always. These days will make me into the person that I will become, because these days might be hard for me. And now that I'm exposing it and I'm sharing it either on stage or on a podcast or whatever, now there's somebody that's going to watch this that's like, I'm going through my stuff, and if Willie can do it, then I can do it. If Willie felt like this happened to him, I'm going through this similar process, then I can handle that too. And so do not despise the days of small beginnings.
Welcome back to the STL Bucket List Show. I am your host, Lucas Farrell.
And I'm your co-host, Marissa Thomas.
We're recording this podcast today at Half Coast Studios, guys. If you have a podcast or you want to start a podcast, these guys cut the video for you. They do the audio. They're going to distribute it to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. And today, we got a special guest. We got the Macc Boyz in the building.
Two special guests.
Two special guests. We got the Macc
Glad
Boyz.
to be here.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming on. So we wanted, we always like to start it off by getting a story about you guys. So like, tell us about how you grew up. Tell us about where you grew up, obviously in St. Louis. And then just tell us a little bit about your come up.
Introduce your name first, too.
I'm it's funny, I'm Willie Mack, and this is
Jonathan.
And it's funny because people recently have been trying to ask us who is the oldest out of the two of us. Mm-hmm. So I like, who do you all think is the oldest out of us? Because people get it right or wrong all the time.
All right, I'm going to guess Willie's the
Yeah, I'm going to
oldest.
guess Willie, too.
But this is so interesting. I am the oldest, but they have to guess it.
Jonathan looks young. Jonathan, a little bit, but you guys are probably what, like 3 or 4 years apart?
No, more than that.
Really?
I'm 37.
And I'm 32.
Okay.
Five years.
Yeah.
The thing he has that I can't grow, and I'm so jealous of, I can't grow this part of my beard, man.
Yeah, that's fire.
Yeah, I can't get this at all. Like that, I'm like, man, that's one thing the only thing that I'm envious of. And we already know who looks better. We already know who styles better. Dress is better.
Because this jacket is heat right here.
Goodness,
If you had a chance to watch the show, we were doing Instagram Live, and while we were watching the show, and everybody was like, who's John's stylist for the show?
Did you have one?
Myself and I.
No, I have a friend that actually like came over my house and was like, look, we need to make sure that these outfits are hidden, like, right? And so, but it was funny. So yeah, I think that question is answered.
Whatever. A personal story about us. We grew up in St. Louis. I was born in Arkansas, but I moved out of Arkansas when I was 3 years old, and grew up in Blackjack. Then we moved to Florissant, so we spent most of our time in Florissant, and we're Hazelwood Central Hawkers. So everybody,
shout out Hazelwood Central.
Hazelwood Central.
Every time people ask, they from St. Louis, that's the question people want to know. What
I
high
have a
school did you go
T-shirt
to?
that says that. Like,
That's
literally,
funny.
but then on the
Really?
back of it, it's the shape of Missouri, the state of Missouri, and all the schools are listed. Like, in the shape of Missouri.
That's the teacher shirt.
It's a teacher shirt.
It's from Arch Apparel, a local company made it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So where did y'all go then, if I had to?
So I grew up in Winsville.
Okay.
So way out west.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know being in real estate, but yeah, I grew up in Winsville. We went to school together for a little bit, and she moved to St. Peter's.
I was in Winsville from 2nd grade to 10th grade, and then I graduated from Fort Zumwalt South in Fallon.
Yeah,
so,
nice.
And then we moved to South City. And when we moved to South City, we were just like in the community. We loved it. We've been there for what, 3.5 years now.
Nice.
So, coming up on 4 in August.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And then we're getting married in about 60 days. So.
Hey, congrats.
And then we're going to be looking in the real estate market because we currently rent right now. So we're looking at neighborhoods. We love St. Louis, though.
Yeah.
We love the community. We love the diversity of the neighborhoods and just being able to walk outside. And I don't mind being close to people. Everybody's like, I want my space. And I'm like, I like the city blocks.
Yeah.
I like being able to walk
We have
out and see
great
what people are
neighbors.
doing. So.
Yeah. You know, we grew up in Florissant, like you said. So everything was, and it's kind of unincorporated Florissant,
right.
St. Louis County. So we were close back by the Missouri River. There's so many funny stories when we were outside, like playing basketball in our backyard. We had a pretty nice sized backyard, and like deer would run down and like. I say chase us. So it would be a race to the house. Yeah. I mean, we had like wild turkeys in our backyard.
You guys were way up.
Wow.
Yeah, we were way out and like just unincorporated, really Florissant. And it's funny because now I stay downtown and I love it, you know, because I mean, it's just that. It's just the energy, right?
It is a good energy. There's always something going on, always a new place coming up. And, you know, it's just.
You got a loft? You live in a loft?
Yeah, I live in a loft down there, and it's just really cool because we grew up with it's 5 boys total, right?
Yeah.
So it's my mom and dad, and then five boys. So it was always something going on. I mean, we didn't get space, even though we lived in a spacious area. We just
You're all on top of each
all
other.
on top of each other.
Out.
Yeah. So growing up with our family was interesting because our mom was a teacher and is a teacher still, and just getting that dynamic from her, and our dad was a business executive. And so just the energy just between them and seeing how they managed raising 5 boys was just their different parenting styles. They
had a whole starting 5 in there.
Five.
So everybody would call us to be the moving company, to be like their the neighborhood
Painters.
Sports team, painters,
all of that.
Bring the squad over. We'll paint this house in 2 hours.
You know, and we appreciate that. One thing just about our story growing up, we were taught to give back. We were taught to not just think of yourself first, but think of others as well, which is totally opposite of how kind of people are thinking nowadays. But, you know, we value that was how we were raised, and it's gotten us to a point that we have seen so many amazing opportunities, I think just because of our upbringing and kind of how we were raised.
Even though our mom, sometimes the sweetest lady in the world, might have been a little strict, she was also the coolest mom in the neighborhood. She was the one that was bringing all the kids together to play games, and you would win candy. Like we would play like Skip It. Remember? I don't know if y'all remember Skip It.
I do.
Oh my goodness, Skip It. Yeah. So she was always the one where people were like, we want to go over to. They call me Robert because my name is Willie Robert McMiller Jr. That's my real name.
Okay.
And so obviously my dad is senior. So when people used to say Willie all the time, we would both turn around.
Right.
So they was like, from now on, you're going to be Robert and you're going to be Willie. So there's no deciphering.
No
so when y'all hear him say either Robert or
Have
Willie,
I said it?
No, you haven't.
Okay, I was like,
You
man,
haven't.
I
Sometimes
usually
it
catch
slips
myself,
out.
right?
But it's just instilled in your brain.
It is, yeah.
That's so. What role did your father play, like growing up professionally? Because I heard some stuff and like some stories. I mean, it seemed like he played a huge role with you guys.
Yeah. Our dad started in Arkansas, and he was given the opportunity to get into computer programming while he was there. But the job was Bell South here in St. Louis, and it was in a very interesting time of computers because there's in any like development of just technology or just years going down, whatever. There's people that doubt something that's gonna the success
the future of something.
Like people doubted Bitcoin when it was 0.00001 cent. And somebody put $100 in it. Then now like 30
Cashing
million.
out,
Billion. It's crazy. Right. So I remember my dad at the time. He was a ditch digger down in Arkansas. And he was given the opportunity to learn computer programming, and he said a lot of the people was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna learn this. We're gonna stick to this." And my dad's like, "Anything's better than digging ditches." And so when computers obviously took off, he was in high demand. So that demand brought him to St. Louis, and from there he just worked his way up in the ranks, and he got into real estate. Even like back in like the 90s. Okay. And so he's the reason why we are in real estate, because he would bring us to the apartments that he bought, the homes that he bought, and just like some of the other projects that he had. And so that's kind of that's the short story of who our father is. But he's also a pastor. We're preacher's kids. Okay. So we spent a lot of time in the church. Yeah. Sometimes was cool to go to church. Sometimes you like, we went to church 5 times this week already. Like, can we skip a week?
Yeah, it's like your after school club.
But there's no choice. There's no choice when your dad's in there, you know, and stuff like that. So that's cool that he was into real estate, because that just showed you that, you know, he's seen the trends and he invested in St. Louis too, and that kind of made you want to probably start investing and working in St. Louis.
Yeah, it was really cool. We would trail him. We would go with him. Again, we were his team, right? All 5 of us would load up.
So did all of you went? Okay.
Unpaid interns.
Unpaid interns.
Yeah, it was, if you want to go home and eat dinner tonight, you're gonna come help us go do some work. So no, but it was fun. It was really cool. He helped us. I mean, I was investing when in high school. And then even when it got into college, I just kind of kept that trend going of what he showed us growing up, you know. And again, it was cool to see the real estate, but when you're at that age, you really don't see it as like, oh, this is cool. But it was more the work ethic and like a lot of the morals and the values that we learned. Just, you know, you know, and you can sit around all day and kind of talk to somebody and try to just tell them something, but then when you actually are out there and you're doing it, and you know, you're just kind of like, okay, I'm hanging with my dad, right? and we're learning some of these values that are important. Now it's just showing up.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when we were recording for the show, Willie says this all the time. There were times where we had like 16, 18-hour days and stuff like that, and everybody was like, we're done. And I'm like, oh, come on, like second win. Yeah. And that was what we learned, just to, you know, when you're trying to get something done,
right,
you keep it moving. So
I have a clip in my phone of me and Jon working on set, because I try to be a workaholic. Like I am a workaholic. I'm very much work first. But Jon is like on a different level. So we was working these long hours. We was demoing the living room and the kitchen and throwing out the trash. And our brothers stayed for maybe like 10 hours. We're like, good job, whatever. They're like, listen, we're out of here. Right. And I was like, so I do this video. I'm like, all right, it's me and Jon left, the last 2 men standing, blah, 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 blah. And so now it hits like maybe midnight. And I'm like, all right, Jon, you know, we wrapping up, right? He's like, you know, I want to clean up a little bit, just do a little this, and that. I'm like, all right, well, then I'm going to go ahead and go home. So I do my 12 hours. So I see Jon the next day. I'm like, how long were you here? He's like, Jon stayed maybe another hour, 2 hours, or however much longer than I did. I'm thinking he was right behind me. He stayed even longer because he's like, this has to get done. Right. Most of this show was because he worked those extra hours to make things happen.
To make the timeline happen.
To make the timeline happen. And that's one of the hardest things about doing home flipping on TV. Like when you're doing it by yourself, you give yourself a timeline, but you know, if you give it like, all right, we're going to finish this home in 12 weeks. Right. If it hits 14, 15 weeks, all right,
as long as the budget, you can stomach it a little bit.
You can stomach it a little bit. But then when there's networks and production companies involved, now they got to push, the budget has to get increased. And now people are like, all right, we got to keep the editors a little bit longer. We got to rehire some of these we had different people on the camera. We had different people on sound because they had other obligations. Yeah. So there's so many other things in store when you're doing these type of shows. And because he worked those extra hours to make sure these deadlines happen. I mean, like it's night and day when you're doing real estate by yourself and just real estate for television, which is crazy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can only imagine. So like, you're brothers and you work together. So how is that to work with your brother? And like, where's the other 3? What are, you know, like, what are they doing? And did they want to have a hand in this? Or was this just something like you're saying your drive of staying a little bit later than the other 3? Like, how did that kind of play out?
It's kind of funny because now we've turned into our father and we're like, yeah, you all are our crew now.
So y'all work together.
Yeah. So we have contracting teams and all of that works with us. But with this being our first production, we were just trying to juggle, like, it's really interesting, you know, just like he said, operating within the parameters that the network gives us as well. So yeah, we have contracting teams, but it doesn't always mesh up, right? Because, you know,
they're on their own schedule. They got other deals.
Well, there's a lot of different cards.
Nobody cares as much as you about the
That's
job.
what it really boils down. And they do, because we have great contractors, and
Yeah.
I love our contractors that work with us. But when there are times when the network says this needs to be done by tomorrow, the contractors are going to stay to a certain extent. But, then we have to be like, you know what? We got to pull our way through. I think people ask all the time, like, do you all really do the work? Yeah, we learned the work. I learned it. Like, I made sure to understand every part of the business that we were in. That was important to me. So that's why I'm a realtor, and I went to contracting school, and I just learned all of these different parameters. So working with our brothers, they were a big part of coming in. We kind of have a little bit more influence on them. Like, hey, this demo has to be done today.
Yeah.
We can't clock out at 5.
Pull the weight.
Yeah, pull the weight. So they come in all the time and just help bail us out of those situations that, man, we were like hitting that deadline, and they would come through all of them all the time and help us. So that was cool. But being on set and working with this one.
Let's hear from both of you.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I know he's going to say something too, but he is so goofy. He is truly a comedian, and I'm a little bit more kind of cut and dry, a little bit more straightforward. So I'm like, when he would get tired, he would try to make everybody on set laugh. Mm-hmm. And when I get tired, I'm trying to hurry up and get done. So it's like, stop goofing off and let's go, and, focus. So there's definitely that dynamic. But at the end of the day, this is my brother. I mean, we're totally just together on what we do on the houses. When we were working on this project, we just came together and gelled together and really made it happen.
The family runs deeper than business.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, easily. And plus, our mom made sure that she was like, listen, even before we started filming, she was like, listen, you all sit down. You all are not going to be arguing. You are not going to be fighting. You are not going to embarrass us.
Well, you're a reflection.
She's at school like, did you see what your son did on TV?
She does not want that to happen. And that happened before. And this is just even before we did this. I was on another show on BT called College Hill. And it was pretty much the BT version of The Real World.
Okay.
And I embarrassed my family. I did. Oh, I embarrassed them.
Reality shows like that, you kind of sign up to,
This was when? How long?
This was like 2007, 2008.
Oh, okay.
And so we were the first black reality show on TV. Before there was like the Love and Hip Hop or Basketball Wives, it was College Hill. And so I remember people used to come up to my dad during service like, how are you going to tell us not to do X, Y, Z, but your son is on TV doing X, Y, Z, 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 Z. Acting a fool. A fool.
I got to pull these episodes up.
They're on Netflix. They just dropped on
they're on Netflix? Oh, we're watching it tonight.
Yeah. I'm like, what's the name of the streaming service right now?
No, it's not on. Is it on that? I know it's on. No, I know it's on Hulu, Paramount Plus.
Well, we got all of it. We got Hulu.
Okay,
we'll find it.
And they just started re-airing it, so now people are starting to hit me back up like, oh my goodness, I just rewatched. This was my childhood. I was in middle school when this was
14 years ago.
Yeah.
That was 14 years ago.
Yeah, so it's interesting having these different just dynamics of shows and going from that particular show to now doing this, because I was just wilding out, goofy. I was in college. I was a true college student on this show. So now to have more of a business mentality and do this with not just my brother, but my family. My dad is huge on this show. Yeah. Like the amount of people that reached out to us about our dad was crazy. Wow. We had females like, "What's your dad's name?"
Oh yeah.
Your dad. Hey, okay.
Fine.
Shout out Willie. He's Big Willie.
Yeah.
Shout out Big Man.
Big Man. That's his name. Big Willie. Yeah, but
Get Big Willie some love on the show.
Big Willie style.
Oh my goodness.
But that's special, man. Just being able to create, it's different. Like when you did that, everybody was watching you from a distance out because you were filming College Hill, and that now you're doing it with family. Like not only are your parents in there, your family, your brothers, but like people in the neighborhood are like seeing it. Like you guys are shedding light. So is that like investing in St. Louis? Do you guys like stick to certain areas? Is there certain area, or is it just anything that needs work that you guys will work on?
We definitely work close to where we grew up, right? Because that's really close to home. But we've invested in St. Louis City proper and St. Louis County all over. We do a lot in North County just because we know North County. Yeah. We grew up, love North County, but there's so much development happening all over St. Louis, and you get different architecture styles when you you invest in different areas. So you know, we look for that next big fun project kind of, but you know, we do have areas that we've kind of stuck around.
Right.
But
that you know the process, you
just know
what
it.
you can,
You know the building, like the infrastructure of the buildings. I'm just throwing things out. Don't mind me.
No,
and just how like the logistics of how everything works. So it's easier, I guess. Well, not easier. You know what I'm trying to say. Familiar.
It's familiar.
Right.
It's familiar. Yeah. So Florissant, Spanish Lake,
Blackjack, Jennings.
Yeah, all of those areas, and we go to areas that some people kind of sometimes shy away from, or people just want to see the money draw from, right? It's just a number. And we're just like, it's kind of more than just a number. We invested in an area recently where we were in close connection with the mayor of that municipality, and he was just grateful that we were taking homes. He's like, it's so many people and he's like, I don't just let investors that I know have 1,000 properties in this area that just want to come and just like, just adding it to my list. I'm going to put $5,000 into it, you know, tape here and do it. He's like, I'm sick of seeing that. And so that's kind of special to us. And we talk to people about our business model sometimes in private, but they say, man, you all kind of do a little bit extra than a normal investor would do.
Yeah.
You know,
go beyond just
the, you know, basic
it's
builder
community.
grade.
It's community.
It's community.
That's what it comes back to, right? Is reinvesting. So what were you guys doing before this? Like in your career, like is this what
we
you
heard what
always
Willie was
done?
doing.
Well, right.
Little Willie.
Yeah, we'll hear a little later. We'll hear
Bumping and grinding on BET.
Jumping out of birthday cakes.
I cannot wait to look these episodes up later.
Oh my gosh. So funny.
I've been a comedian for this is my 13th year now, but and it's like only been like the past 2 years because being a comedian is a long process, and it's only been like the past few years that things has really starting to take off, and like I'm starting to tour now. I was what else? I was a reality TV show editor. What else have I done? I've never really worked a real 9 to 5. Mainly because I've been fired from most of the 9 to 5s that I did have.
Yeah. No.
I don't think I've ever really quit a job. I don't even know what a 2-week notice looks like.
Just don't come back next week.
So you've done like
Sign
just
here.
like projects, like I know you did commercials.
Yeah, I've
like
done a
stuff.
bunch of commercials, and that's really how a lot of this even began. So I was making decent
Very
money.
successful in the commercial industry.
And John asked me one day, he was like, so what are you doing with the money that you were making in these commercials and stand-up? I was like, oh, man, you know, I got it stacked up in the bank. Like, he's like, you're so stupid. I was
Take
like,
that money
well,
from Cali. Let's put that money.
and that's exactly what he said. He's like, you're going to let the banks make money off your money. Bring that money to St. Louis and let's start reinvesting in the community and the neighborhoods and all of that other stuff. And so every time we bought a property, a couple things that we would do, when I say we, it's me and my other brothers. John really wasn't a part of this. We would spray paint the homes. We would go into the house and we would spray paint Macc Boyz and like Geeks show the arch, and like we would just be out there wilding out. And John be like, why'd you do that? We got to paint over this. Now we got to buy an extra gallon of paint to cover up your mess.
One time he said, isn't this the wall you said you were tearing out? I'm like, no, it was the wall next to it.
Yeah,
they spray painted the wrong wall.
I seen that on your reel, like the Macc Boyz thing. Like,
Yeah.
but that's just the style. It gets people excited about it. You're like, and your brothers come out and they're like, we know we're gonna knock this down, but let's knock down something cool.
Yeah, that's exactly the mentality of it. So that's one of the things. And then I started just coming to St. Louis, and I would be posting on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I'd be like, hey, we've got us another property. And because of that, people started watching us do this. And it's like, oh, that's so cool to see you all just be young, black, and buying these properties. And it's nice. And so HGTV and some of these production companies caught wind of what we were doing and seeing the social media and the responses people was getting from us. And they ended up years later offering us a show. So yeah, that's kind of the beginnings of all of that.
And you spoke it into existence. You were doing the videos. I mean, I don't know if you believe in the law of attraction, but you were open to this opportunity and you were putting it out in the world. And you were kind of timid about the video, but he said, just wait. And it took a while probably to build traction. But even if 3 people are invested in you watching it, then that's more than 0, you know, and eventually the world rewarded you for it. And now, you know.
So how long did it take for the track? Like you said, a couple years. About How long?
The reel was 3 years ago, I think, on
The
YouTube.
the reel was actually maybe a little bit longer than 3 years ago. I think we did that in 2016.
Can't remember exactly.
It doesn't seem that long ago. But
It doesn't.
It goes by so quick,
Yeah.
and we don't count 2020 at all.
Right.
We don't speak of that
skip over
year.
2020 where?
So I think in 2016, so I was working at this production company, and they were saying some of these networks were looking for more diverse home flippers. And I was like, oh, me and my brothers flip homes. And it's like, Willie, nobody wants to see you and your brother flip homes. You just stick to stand-up and editing and whatever. So me and John purchased 2 properties over in like Spanish Lake area. And I went there and I filmed it. I had my camera and I had my cell phone, and we were just sitting there making these videos, me and him. And I edited together what you saw on YouTube. And I showed it to them. I was like, hey, look. They was like, wow, this is really good,
We
actually.
can sell this. They're like,
But they said no. They was like, no. They turned it down. They was like, no, we're not going to touch this. Willie, stick to stand-up and editing. They like, y'all did a good job, but that's not going to happen. Nobody wants to see you all on TV is what they said. And so I went ahead and put it up on YouTube anyways. I put like $50 or $100 on promotions, and I used specific hashtags of like HGTV, production companies, home flipping, whatever,
Get the
blah, blah, blah.
hook.
Get that little seat, did the SEO,
Targeted.
yeah.
SEO,
yeah.
And so the production company started reaching out to us. This is maybe the 3rd production company that we kind of garnished interest with. And first production company was like, we want to see you all do these $500,000 homes. And we was like, we don't do $500,000 homes. Like, that's almost unrealistic to see all these people like flipping Malibu, flipping Beverly Hills. It's like,
Who's living there?
who's living there?
Yeah.
or the people that are like, I'm a teacher and he works at the gas station and we have a $2 million budget.
Oh
It's
my
like,
goodness.
Where did y'all get these $2 million?
It's unreal.
nothing against
Unreal.
gas station workers and teachers, but it's just like the jobs don't match up with the income of the homes.
Exactly.
And like people, it's not, you're hitting 90% of the market. And especially like, this was a time where we needed to see this. People needed to see people on there. Like we've seen Chip and Joanna, we've seen their great shows. They do great work. But like people needed, in family, like the Property Brothers do a great job too, but it's like we needed something different. So how were those meetings? Like how did those meetings go? And like, you know, I know you were head on it. How long did it take you actually to get on board? Because the cameras and stuff, like you were like, man, I just want to work, flip, make my money.
Yeah, it was interesting. Willie tells the story of, like he was just saying, about the process that it took for the production companies to come to us. I had finally convinced him to like, let's just work and do what we do.
Yeah.
Like, let's just, and we were in the midst of acquiring commercial properties and just a lot of other things that we've expanded our business model to do. And this last production company came to us, and it was just a different feel. And I'm telling you, I had finally gotten him to just be like, chill.
Yeah.
You hear me?
down.
Don't tell anybody to look at that YouTube video anymore. Take it down off of YouTube. Make it private.
Matter of fact.
And you made it private after a minute, didn't you? I have finally gotten through. And this production company's like, and he called me. He's like, somebody reached out. And I'm like, didn't we talk about this? And he's like, no, they're reaching out. And I think it was from the time they reached out, it may have been like 2 months. They sent a crew here. They pulled people from all over the country to come and really trail us for a couple of, a week or so, a couple of weeks. They just trailed our lives and shot it and sent it back to headquarters in Atlanta. And they were just like, man. And so at that point, I was kind of like, is it really happening?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is bigger than a cell phone. So,
Well, that's what I was gonna say. You're like, stop recording me. Now you have a whole crew.
right.
You see the lights.
It was really surreal. And I'm not camera shy or anything like that, because there was a point when you asked what were we doing before this, I was in corporate America. And I worked for a Fortune 100 company as a financial accountant. And it got me out to LA for a few years. And so when I was out there, I was on The Voice, just doing like background singing.
Oh, he can sing.
I'm not singing here.
Look at you.
They're coming out.
You see how I left that out?
Like, don't say it.
Don't say it. But
So you'll tell tell jokes and you're gonna sing. That's what we're gonna have.
No,
Content is king, my guy.
I did a lot of background singing out there, like Nick Jonas, Elton John, like a lot of different events that we were able to do. Yeah, it was fun. It was really cool. So it wasn't that I was camera shy or anything like that, but when I'm working, I'm just kind of like,
You're removed from that
I'm
stage.
removed
You're not
from
prepared.
that.
You're like, I didn't get my haircut before. Like all the stuff that you would do before you go. That's what I do. I'm like, I get my haircut before I'm going on camera. That's just something I do.
Yeah,
And it's like when you're just getting random people like following me around the office, it's like, it's just crazy. But that's huge though.
It was surreal. So to just answer your question more directly, I had like 2 months to really get it together. Like, and it wasn't even that. They were like calling weekly. Like, we're serious. Here's what we've done. We really want to come to St. Louis. It happened so fast. So now to see it now, it's just like, okay.
And I think what it made it really feel the best for me personally. So we shoot the sizzle with the production company. HGTV gave them the budget to shoot the example episode. So we do that. And then we end up getting the sizzle back, and we get that phone call. And I think it was like January, where there was like, HGTV loves it. This is a green light. And to call my mom and tell her, I FaceTimed her, and I still have a picture of it where she's just like,
I was like, was she screaming? Yeah.
like, she was so excited. And then we heard about one of the execs over at the Discovery HGTV where she cried. Because she was like, she's been trying to pass a diverse show for so long and all this other stuff, and that this is actually happening brought her to tears. Wow. And we understood kind of then the responsibility and just the weight of everything that we have right now. And so we was like, all right, this is real. This is happening. We're going to be those guys. And Jon mentors a lot of young men just in the community. And I remember we was working on one project, and one of the young men came through, and we was painting, because it's nice to show them something outside of you having to be a music artist or a sports player or whatever. So he says to us at the end of this, he was like, oh, one day I'm gonna own more homes than you all. We're like, good, yes. This is what we
Show
want.
them another route. You can work with your hands.
Something to reach for.
Yes.
Yeah, other than that. I mean, not, like you said, not to discredit artists and
Any of
athletes,
the other
but
things.
just
But that's
open
small
it
in
up.
between. There's a, like being out in Hollywood, it's like a lot of people go out there, a lot of people come back.
A lot of people come
With
back.
broken and shattered dreams.
Yep.
You know, it's
To show people real life skills. So tell us about the community. I mean, is there a program or nonprofit that you work with, or is it?
So we're actually in the process of starting one for our own. But yeah, right now it's just really been word of mouth through, I mentored through my college, and even through our church, our nonprofit up there. So yeah, and then somebody says, hey, I think this is a young man that could use, just some positivity, and some guidance and stuff like that. So doing that has really been rewarding. It's really perpetuating what our father has already done for us, and our mom, just really those. It's in me. It's in us.
Yeah.
Those
To
values.
serve.
To
I
serve.
mean, growing up in a pastor, that's all he did was serve. And you've seen him, and to serve these communities. So you act as like a big brother, mentor.
Yeah, it's more like a big brother. So pick them up, academic involvement. So just helping them to identify strengths that they can operate in within the school.
Confidence.
Confidence building, just a lot of those skill set training. We do that. It's a lot, you know.
It is rewarding though, because that's like, I said I'm a teacher. That's how I feel every day. Like, my parents were tough. They had high expectations, but they weren't unreasonable. And I feel like that's why I am the adult I am. That is why I'm the adult I am. And so I try to exude a lot of that in my kids. And they're like, oh, Miss Thomas, you're hard on us. Like, you're going to thank me when you're a senior. You can't be on the straight and narrow. I'm like, exactly. And now you can go into the real world, and you're going to be a great citizen. You have something to offer. So I know exactly what you're talking about. about.
You know, you can't do to your children what our mom did to us, though.
What is that?
Over the summer, no, it's great. But over the summer, we still had to go to summer school, and I was like, "Mom,
we're making good grades."
Yes.
He was making good grades. I had to go.
I wasn't even gonna put you out there. I wasn't gonna put you out there, but since you said it,
you're like, I worked hard all year not to go to summer school.
And she was just like, "No, you need to maintain. You need to keep up." As a teacher, I see students that come back over the summer that just fell off, you know. And so she's like, "No, you're gonna stay on top." And I'm telling you, those things come back now. Right. It's just like
you're going more than what's required. Always doing more than what's required, because eventually you're gonna get more than, you know, like you said, you're just gonna get more.
Consistency and preparation are the keys to success. I've learned that in so many ways. Like, you know, if you're prepared as much as you can be for something, and you're consistent in pursuing it, it's got to come to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Consistently be consistent. That's
That's a life motto.
I write on it because I've been an entrepreneur for 2 years, and I'm only 26, but for 2 straight years through a pandemic, like I just kept working, and I wasn't making any money for a long time. But finally, I mean, 2 years is not fine. Yeah, but finally 2 years, I feel like I'm getting more than what I'm giving, because I gave so much before, and now it's coming back to me, and like people are calling me left and like, just like, you guys know, being in business, like eventually you're like, what happened? Like what clicked? But there's never like, was there a moment like when you guys sat down with those people where like something just clicked for you and were like, this is real?
When they all showed up with those big cameras and lights.
That's exactly kind of how it is.
Yeah, I mean, even talking to them, Zoom calls and all that, and they were giving us the layout of how it was going to work and all of that, and I'm like, okay, you're just going to follow us. Okay, you'll be way over there following us. And it's like, no, but when
they had you mic'd up, everything.
It was so cool. And even our sets were so fun. In honesty, in reality, our father would make our sets fun, cracking jokes. Then that would get him started. And the people were like, you know what? This is not only going to be a great show on camera, but like this is one of the best sets we have worked on. And so they would start going above and beyond and going the extra mile and doing things that weren't even required of them to do. And it was like, man, this is really real. Jonathan, do you want a water? Jonathan? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go grab one. You know, like, you know,
they were working for you,
but it was
working.
Well, you created a welcoming, positive environment, and so like when you're giving that to them, they want to give back to you, and it's like this off-screen family.
It really was.
I think one of the more craziest, fun, interesting things that happened on set. So I trade stocks, and I remember this one particular day I was trading. I forget whatever stock it was, and one of the guys, the PA, he was like, what you doing? Like, oh, I'm trading stocks. He's like, oh, I'm gonna put $100 on whatever. I put like whatever on it, and I was like, man, if I can get so many thousands of dollars on this particular stock, because it was shooting up. I found one of these short squeezes, and it said, shoo. And so I'm like, I'm gonna buy you a pair of shoes. He's like, you gonna buy me a pair of shoes? Yeah. I was like, yeah. So we looking at it. He made like $20. He's like, man, I made $20. Sold out. Yeah. I made my money. And I was like, I'm getting you a pair of shoes. He's like, nah, man, you're good, man. I know you were just joking. I was like, nah, I'm buying you a pair of shoes. I went on the StockX. I'm like, pick out you a pair of shoes.
Oh, you went on StockX. Oh, yeah. Some exclusive joints.
So, but he didn't even, he got scared. He didn't go too far. Yeah. But he bought him, I got him some shoes or whatever. And I remember coming to set with the box of shoes. And he was like, you really did that? I was like, yeah, man, you really did.
I said I did. I said I
was going. Yeah. And so his girlfriend, who they were very professional. I didn't know they were in a relationship the entire time. We were filming for months. And it wasn't until like the end. And I was like, because I remember her saying something, so like, go get those shoes back to Willie and tell him to turn it back. I was like, and she's kind of,
he's talking crazy.
Why you letting her talk to you like that? And he's like, that's my girlfriend. I was like, that's your girlfriend? Like, y'all ain't never kissed on set. Y'all ain't never squeezed each other's butt or nothing. Like, y'all are good. Don't have me on set.
That's a different level of professionalism.
That's a different level.
I'm you're touching her leg right now.
You can't even control yourself now. It's only been 15 minutes.
No, but that's funny, man. Funny. It's just taking care of your people. I mean, especially your workers. You know, those guys work hard. Taking care of people. And it goes a long way. Even if you take a loss that day, it's one day. You know, it's one day like, hey, we lost a couple $100 today, but at least those people are taken care of.
Yeah.
Because they got families. And I feel like that with my employees is like, I am so much more worried about their income than mine. So in the end, I'm making more for the company because I'm so focused on their income rather than mine. Like I don't even know I don't even track what we make. Like I just pull like a draw when I need it, but like I make sure that they have like what they need, and that's just important. And it's been driving me in treating work as like a relationship. Like, how can I help this person? And in the end, if I can help more people, then everybody's going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
So. That's huge. So, is there a moment like of where you guys convinced each other of like to start flipping? Who was that person, and like how did that conversation go? Were you already? Were you?
Right.
Yeah, Jon convinced me. Jon was the person in my head, because I would have been one of those people that just let it stack up. Like I always kind of been into investing. I always kind of bought stocks and all this other stuff. Right. But the idea of just really bringing the money home and really building what we have built now, like we have a commercial building. Like we're opening a coffee shop in the fall. And like in events,
So you guys are into rentals too, then?
We're into. We started in rentals.
We started in rentals. Yeah, we had we've had like condos and stuff like that we did rentals in. But it was really Willie's idea. He said, "Man, you know, you're working so hard on one property, a single family home." He's like, and then you just sell it. Because I tell people all the time I do have separation anxiety with my houses because, man, they turn out so nice.
You put the work in and you're like, oh, I don't know what to
I'm like, and I just got to sell it, and you just kind of coming in like, oh, yeah, this is nice. I'm like, no, this is nice. So he was like, why don't we find something that we can invest in, and then it'll just kind of be ongoing. And so he said, go out there and start looking for commercial properties. And so I was like, okay. So that's kind of what started that process. So we kind of feed off each other, just kind of to answer the question. Yeah, it started with the conversation he had with me, but now we're kind of bouncing off each other to like, how can we grow and expand the brand?
Take it to the next level and get that long-term wealth instead of that quick 30, 50 grand.
Exactly.
It's great, but you know, just in the show business, like you can make a bunch of money right now.
Yeah.
But that long-term, well, you're in your loft, you're like, man, I kind of want to stay at this one. And you're like, nope. You ever have that feeling where you're like, I might just stay here?
Yeah. I've actually said
because some of them, the profit might not hit right.
Yeah, we don't hit
like,
every time. Yeah. And I was like, let's keep it for a while. And we have done that, you know, where, again, I may have overinvested in it a little bit. And I'm like, okay, maybe we should rent it for a year, then sell it. And we've done that. But, yeah, he and my dad, both of them are like, this is not your house. Give us the key. This is not your house.
But that's good because you care about the property.
Yeah.
And they would be properties that I would live in. Again, like
that's true too.
You know what I'm saying? I fixed them up to the point where I'm like, I would live here. Right. You know.
So what do you look for when you're touring a property? Like, what are you looking for specifically? Like, how do you envision, like, this is what I see happening here? Like, I feel like, you know, you watch those shows and you're like, how are they going to make this, like, beautiful? And so, like, what's that process like to envision? You know, how do you envision it?
I would just say this part, and I'll let Jon, this is really a Jon question, but I do know, like, even with the show, we can't just buy a house and this is it. Like with this particular project, we had to get
through levels of approval.
Yeah, so it wasn't. Yeah, we had to say, we had to give them options of homes. Like this is 3-4 homes. Which one can we get? Because we might really want to just do this one and we'd be good. And they was like, no, we were looking for this type of area. We want this type of blah 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 blah.
Story.
Okay.
So Jon was able to find a property where when we first moved from Arkansas to St. Louis, he found a house in that same neighborhood. But yeah, this is, like I said, this is really a Jon.
You look really for the transformation. It's funny, when we walk in, I'm like, Rob, we can, you know, tear this wall down, or man, we can expand this bathroom here. And you look for the potential. I do. You know, it's, you have your 3-bed, at least 2 baths. You know, you have those kind of numbers that you want to stick with. We want to do at least 1,000 square foot or more, blah, blah, blah. You know, so we have that list, but then I can go into a home that really, and this is funny, all you really need to do is paint it. And I'm like, I'm just like, okay. You know, but then I go into a home where it's just like, and my mom, she's our test. So
Yeah.
if she walks into a house and she's just like, get me out of here, and she'll just start freaking out. She was like, you all wasted your money on this, and she just literally starts freaking out. I'm like, why did you buy this? And then she's the first one to see the flip when it's done. And I'm like, all right, Mom, come back and look at it. And she's like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
No. This is not the same house, so that's really rewarding. But
Every time?
every time.
Really?
Even better.
Every
right?
time.
You're like, see, I told you. Yeah, I knew what I was doing.
That's amazing. That's just so special to have your family
That
involved.
is.
I don't think I've seen shows like that. So I think that if anything, you're bringing something different and unique to the table. So I know there's conflict though. I didn't see much, but like I know there is behind the scenes. How do you guys handle that being in business together? Because I know how difficult financials you were in accounting. Like sometimes it just comes down to money and disagreements. So like tell us about like how you guys handle conflict between each other.
Well, we really don't have that much conflict. Really? I'm okay with taking a back seat, and that's also very important. That gets a lot of music groups in trouble or whatever. Like you have like this whole boy band, and then one of them starts to take off, and the other one start to get jealous, and they try to do their thing, and then they break apart. I noticed this as a person that does a lot of commercials and stuff. There's sometimes like you'll see some of these group auditions. And they're like, all right, you all are at a football game and you all are arguing or y'all want the last bag of chips, go. So everybody wants to have the highest line. Like, oh, yeah. And I'll just sit there in the back like this. And after they're like done fighting, I'm like, oh, chip, boom. And so I end up booking it. They was like, we couldn't understand what anybody else was saying with all the noise. And because you were just back there kind of just watching the whole thing, and then you come when the time was needed. That's very important. So I took some of those concepts, and then there's this book, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
So I influence John. He don't know that I do this, but there's certain things that you do where you suggest things and you word it a certain way, and you manipulate it, and you just boom, 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 boom,
Let
boom.
him make the decision.
Let him make the decision. And sometimes it goes my way, sometimes it don't. Right. But you have to be okay with that.
Right.
And I'm completely fine with it because I know what the bigger picture is. I know what is needed to make a show, to make this business stay. Because if we fall all the time, we're not going to want to work with each other no more. Then nobody wins. Right. Where's the excitement or what's the benefit in that?
And there are times where we're like, I'm like, I really want to do this. It's going to cost a little bit more. And he's like, no. Like, we do have those moments where it's like, no, no, you're tripping. He calls me out all the time for like over-investing or like doing too much. And he's like, John, no. So then there's times when I'm like, Mom, Willie said he doesn't think. And so, sometimes she's like our tiebreaker and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, sometimes the decisions I made, they didn't go right. They just didn't. It wasn't the right call. And it's sometimes things that he did all the time where it wasn't the right call, and I think that's one good thing when we do hit those moments. It's not like, told you so,
Right.
It's just like, all right, might be a little annoyed, but let's,
you gotta fail forward.
And I'm now, as we're saying
good,
this, thinking about it, I'm wondering how much this has to do when we was younger. Like when we did fight with each other, our moms would make us do things together to like. Our punishment was to do things together. Like if we was arguing while we was driving in the car, she would drop us off on the side of the road and make us walk home together.
Talk it out.
Talk it out.
Mom was tough.
Yeah,
I love the. I'm like, let me.
Who was more tough, Mom or your father?
Definitely, it's different.
In different ways.
Yeah,
it depends probably on what.
Yeah,
needed handle it.
Yeah, and what's that? I don't even know the saying.
I'm trying to think
walk quietly but carry a big stick or something like that. That was more my mom. She wasn't too vocal all the time, but when she was like, very passionate about something, she would weigh in.
Yeah.
But my dad was definitely more of the one that was just like daily on like, nope, sit up straighter, whatever. I don't know, stop all of that.
Yeah.
So they had their different dynamics, but it worked together great. We see now.
The funniest punishment that we've had was my mom used to make us like sit against the wall, squatted with one leg, and put books on our hands.
So she was low key a boot
Really?
camp
I'm
coach,
like, that's
right?
a workout.
Oh my
That
goodness.
sounds like a workout.
These thighs right here.
Yeah, still. All those years. She's getting you in line.
Yeah.
But you never did whatever happened. You were like, I'm not doing that again because I don't want to.
Oh, I stayed in trouble. I was. It's interesting because I had this conversation on with one of my friends or somebody I was talking to about what I got in trouble for back then is what is paving the way for me to be where I'm at today. Like I remember in 3rd grade, I got in trouble because I used to act like my hand was alive in class. I used to be like, no, don't do that.
Like towards kids.
Yeah, I'd be like, no, so stop it. And then my hand would fight with myself. I'm like, no, stop it. And the teacher would be like, Robert, principal's office. And my dad be like, why are you acting up in class? It was called acting up. But this is really just how I express my creativity, and just the way that my brain worked was just not normal.
Yeah.
And so, but comedy and like stuff like being creative has always just kind of been in my blood and just all of that. So we had the best childhood. We had to work together. Our parents gave us a certain amount of money every Christmas. If you wanted to go over that amount, you had to, like, we wanted the game system, but we each, let's say, got $100 each. The game system's $400. So we had to put our money together to get the game system, and somebody else had to get the money to buy the games. And so we were forced to work together a lot as kids, and so a lot of that is what shows on air now, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, you guys sound like you grew up just in a great home, great parents, great siblings. So I'm excited to see how it, like you said on the show, how it all comes together.
Yes.
I love it. I had a question. How would you guys describe like your design style? Like,
Well, I'm very modern, contemporary modern style. So even when it comes to like our color palettes, right, we stick with a lot of the neutral, color tones. And
is that just popular right now? I feel
it is.
Like
deep
white.
grays and
the deep grays, and it
white.
used to be beige, right? Beige was the old new light gray or whatever. But yeah, I like just very clean line stuff. So just coming down to like door pulls and stuff like that, I like square. Like it's a lot that goes into it. I think this show pushed us to really think outside of like some of our design elements. So mixing up the patterns a lot in the house. I'm very matchy. So I like light gray walls, dark gray cabinets, and the countertops have to have gray veining in it, and then everything. And he always is just like, does everything have to match?
Yeah.
I'm like,
So he's colorful. You like some pop.
Yeah.
You
I
some pop.
like pop. I like things that stand out. I want people to see something that they've never seen before. They'd be like, oh, I never would have thought to do this in this room, or that's an interesting choice, but I think I like it. Yeah.
I love it,
I'm the fusion guy. Like when you go to some of these, like, let's say like they got this soul food Asian fusion spot, and it's like, I would have never have thought to put XYZ with XYZ and it tastes amazing. So I'm also the guy that's at 7-Eleven and like get a soda. I'm like, shh.
Oh yeah, you gotta mix it up a little
I mix
bit.
up everything.
So when we go into the store, I'll be like, okay, you go pick some stuff, and I'm gonna go pick some stuff, some elements for the house. So he'll come back with like scalloped backsplash towels or something like that, and I'm just like Subway, regular white Subway towel and this cabinet color, But in this episode, I loved it. Like we did two-tone cabinet patterns in there, and we did a very beautiful like Spanish mosaic floor design.
That's my favorite when I see that.
Spanish mosaic or
yes, yeah.
There's
I
some
think
houses
it's gorgeous.
in Brentwood and like Richmond Heights that have that clay, that Spanish, and I love it. She doesn't love it that much. I'm like, that's so dope. And like, and then the tiles that come up to walk to the house, I'm like, you just feel. I mean, you feel like you're in St. Louis, but when you walk into the house, they have courtyards that are the clay. I like it. I like
people
it.
do
I like my South City
on, like,
brick.
the front of on the steps, like going down the steps. I just think that's such a different look. Like
It's
it just
so
appeals
different.
right to the eye.
Yeah.
So I think the clay, you don't see, there's that one house
why
that
I
I
like
always see. That's why he likes it. I'm like,
That's why you like me, because I look different. I don't know if that's good or not. But.
Oh
It's good. It's a good thing.
So what's like your guys' price point? I know, like, are you just in that 100 to 200, or are you guys just like houses that are affordable for every family?
Yeah, so we stick to houses that can be bought by that average working American,
new homeowners, like
new homeowners and stuff like that. So yeah, we try to buy under 100, and then price it, to average out for the area. So it's really about buying smart, so that when you do sell, you can sell for the upper 100s, mid $200,000 home.
Nice.
So how was the feedback from the show? Like so far, I mean, it's been exactly six days. So it's been 6 days since it aired.
Well, we haven't fully got the feedback yet on numbers or anything like that. So based on the numbers and feedback that we get is depending on how many episodes and how the series will go. But just on social media numbers and just the people who have seen it, absolutely love the show. Some people are saying, I'm now watching HGTV because of this show. I mean, just to see our dynamic and just to see our dad. People love our dad. He's very blunt. He's very opinionated. He doesn't hold back. And people love seeing us kind of like we kind of it's like, uh-oh, dad's coming. Gotta act like we're working. Uh-oh, what will dad say about this? And it's like, what's wrong with these bugs? It looks dizzy. I'm gonna fall. And it's like, oh no, did we disappoint dad? And then you also see us stepping out a little bit more to our dad, which is also very interesting because we're taught, this is dad. Whatever dad says goes. And as kids, go do this, go do that, go do this. So now when my dad's like, why are y'all doing this? Like, because dad, this is what we're doing. This is our project. Now you showed us, you gave us the tools, and this is what we decided to build.
What we do.
That felt good, didn't it?
Right. Got to talk back for one time, right?
And then you're like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. It was just the camera. We were just on camera. So
that's the way they edited it.
Yeah, they edited it that way.
But it was interesting because we've done a lot of media interviews here since the show has aired, and one of my friends said, Jon, your friends and your family are going to support you. Now, I have some friends and family that'll really keep it real and tell you. But one friend was like, I really want to know what people who like don't know you, don't have a tie to you, excuse me, what they have to say. And so when we go on social media now and we see the news interview that just aired, and it's people from all over the country, like I watch HGTV all the time. This was fresh. This was new. I'm like, people that don't know me like
that's
it.
That's
the real test.
And St. Louis is pulling for you guys. I mean, St. Louis showed up for you guys.
Oh my goodness, so much so.
We do as a community, so it is so exciting to see some.
It'd be huge for the city. It's just gonna be huge. It's huge for the city.
I'm gonna look in the camera and say, thank you, St. Louis. Thank you
We
all
appreciate
for
the love.
support and the love.
What do you guys want to bring to St. Louis? Is that part of your mission to invest in St. Louis and just like help the communities that raised you guys? And then like, what do you see yourself 5 years from now? Kind of a double-edged question, but
no, St. Louis is home. You always take care of home, whether it's your physical home or the city that you call home or your friends who are home. So when I saw an article about how there's like at least 50,000 abandoned properties in St. Louis, and just there's so much potential in St. Louis. So even when I go to other cities, when I'm touring or whatever, when I talk about I'm from St. Louis, people are like, oh, St. Louis.
I know, there's always
first thing is like Ferguson, or they're like, ooh, St. Louis, you must be. And it's like St. Louis is so much more than what you all have seen on TV or on the news or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And this is a chance to show them something different, show them what family looks like, or when people are surprised that our parents are still together, like, so you and your mom and dad are still together, like, yeah, they're still together. Shut up. And it's like, no, this is St. Louis, this is us, and I'm excited to show people this. And as my, I guess, quote unquote, star power rises, as I'm starting to do stand-up, and I'm hanging out with different people now, and they're like, St. Louis, like, yeah, they're like, I have some friends who are bigger names, and they're like, I got these shows, or I just created these projects, and now I got this influx of money. What can I give you all this money, and you take this to St. Louis and buy us some properties? Wow. So I want to start bringing a lot of that to St. Louis for me personally, and so that's really exciting.
Yes, and people, every time I do an interview or something and people see it, they're like, all right, you had to say that for camera. Like, I love St. Louis. No, St. Louis really is a great place. Now, I live here. I grew up here. Yes, I see where we have opportunities for improving the city and things like that. But I really feel like now, if you really, and we talked about this, prior to getting on, if you're close to the heartbeat of the city and what's going on, there is a major shift happening right now. There's a lot of development. There's a lot of fresh companies coming here, and they're like, we're attracting new sports teams now. I mean, it's if you feel the current of the city right now, we are evolving rapidly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think if people blink too long, they're gonna look and be like, no, this isn't the St. Louis.
Right.
And so what you find a lot of times, unfortunately, is people don't want to get on the bandwagon until they see that it's already kind of moving forward. But if you can kind of see and feel the current and you're connected to the city and, the whole metropolitan area, it's like, man, what can I do to help? And that's what I think the beauty of this was really unexpected. Because like I said, we had got to the point where we were just like, we're just going to focus on the business. Yeah. But then the opportunity came again when we weren't really paying attention.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is our opportunity to add to what's already happening.
Put St. Louis back on the national map.
Yeah.
And you were talking about downtown. I mean, Square's moving down there. NGA is 5,000 employees. I work at Ballpark Village. We got the new co-working space right next to One Cardinal Way. All these luxury apartments.
It's crazy.
But people aren't seeing that. They're seeing what happened
on the
the inner city. And even
yeah.
my parents who live 40 miles away from the city, they just hear what they hear on the news. And you don't hear about good stuff on the news. You guys were on the news, they're starting to be let's hear about what happened. Obviously do your news, but how, and that's what we use our platform is to showcase what's great about St. Louis and highlight the people, places, and events that inspire people.
Yes.
And you guys inspired us, and that's why you're here today.
Hey.
So,
Awesome, and we're very thankful for you all having us here today.
So I had a couple more, stuff for Willie, working out of town, how hard is that? Because everybody's done the remote work, but the remote work's different when it's hands-on stuff. It's not like you can get on the computer and all right, I'm gonna install these cabinets real quick, and you're on the computer. But how is that remote work? The communication, what kind of challenges does that bring for you?
Challenges is a strong word. What I will say is I trust Jon. I trust a lot of his vision. I trust a lot of that, and he keeps me in the loop. He'll send me pictures and just videos. Hey, we have these cabinets. We have these tiles. What do you think? And so if this was 10, 20 years ago when you're doing real remote work and all of that, it was way harder. But nowadays, you can pretty much be here without being here.
Right.
And so it is a lot easier now. But even doing this, I fly back. I flew back and forth to Los Angeles in 3 months, maybe 10, 12 times. So I stayed here as much as I can. And if I had a show, if I was doing a project or whatever, I flew back for those projects. Jon held it down. Him, my dad. And so between those two, the job is going to get done.
Right.
And like I said, I'm okay with also just trusting them.
Right.
And we built, it's a partnership. And that's very important. And even though we have two completely different personalities, our mom is a life coach, and one of the things that she taught us was the color code. I don't know if y'all heard of the color
Personality
code.
color code.
Yeah, so we had. Really?
It is.
You might want this as a teacher.
Yeah.
There's red, blue, yellow, and white.
Yeah.
So red is more of your dominant personality, your red personality type. Yellow is
What are you?
I'm a red blue. Blue is more of a charismatic leader. They are still everybody, can operate in that leadership role, but your red is that, just come on, let's get it done. and your blue is more of a, we're gonna get it done, but hey, come on, let's get it done. It's more of a compassion-led leader. Your yellows want to have fun.
I'm a yellow.
He's yellow all day.
Spontaneous, fun-loving. Sometimes it will get me in trouble.
Yeah.
Sometimes it will make us an HGTV show.
And then the white color personality test. They're just very laid back, chill, just kind of you know, very hands off.
You're laid back, but you are dominant also.
And you can also mix these colors. Like I'm yellow, white. He's like he said, blue. So, but then what they teach you in these color codes is how to gel with other colors and how my weaknesses are his strengths and how we can merge those together.
To make it both a strength.
And it's so simple, but like so much of like how you can merge. And I need to lead people. I might need to lead my red employee different than I need to lead my
And that's
blue
exactly
employee.
what it's about. How do you as a yellow or how do you as a red talk to, because a red turns a yellow off or a white off. Well, white is quote unquote scared of a yellow. I mean a red because it's like, I'm so laid back and you're so in my face, you know.
It's just to mesh the team and stuff like that.
That's
so that's
really
cool. We're
cool.
definitely going to look that up. That's huge.
I'm definitely putting that on my list.
So because of those type of things and those type of skill sets that we were just introduced to, even though when we were younger, at least I'm speaking for myself, when they was telling us that I might not have acted like I was paying attention to it, but I was paying attention to it. I'm like, you ain't gonna tell me I'm a yellow. I'm gonna show you all I can be a red. I can't be a red. I ain't got nothing red in me except for my blood. I'm a yellow. So
you just didn't like somebody telling you something, so you're like, I'm gonna be completely opposite of what they said I was.
And I was
Such a
stubborn.
yellow characteristic.
And my mom would say exactly that. She's like, you're such a yellow. So once we understood those type of things and we understood each one of our dynamics, it makes you take a step back and it's like, all right, now how much of these decisions is me being a yellow or me just being me, and how much should I listen to my brother? How much should I listen to my father? At what point do I step up and be like, no, we're going to do this. Just trust me on this. Like the filming, like it might have bothered him while we was doing like, come on, John, come on. And I'm like, no, just trust me. This is going to pan out.
Right.
And sometimes he was like, stop, let's do this. I'm like, okay, this is John's expertise. Let me just.
Then he would hide the video.
Like this.
Don't play. Don't play. He act like he put it up, and then the camera still be like, clip. I didn't know we had cameras set up, and I'm like, put the camera down and let's get to work. He would hide it places.
Yeah.
Do you think showbiz plays a role? Like you being, would you say because you perform, you have to turn it on, you have to be on your game all the time. Do you think that helps you in business or like the business of real estate? Do you think that helps you? Like the charismatic, the
personality.
Yeah. Just being in show business, like the ups and downs you have in that, does that help you like in real estate? Is what I was kind of.
I don't know if it necessarily helps in real estate. What it does do is it puts you in a different perspective. For example, when we're painting, let's say we was painting this wall in this room and like, go get a blue. And there's like a color palette. Like, when you go pick out the little blues or whatever. And I'm like, Now, we could have just picked out one of these colors that's on this little, what are they called? The sample?
I know that.
Color wheels.
Color wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I know, I'm in the trenches.
Paint chips, right? The paint chips.
Yeah. So I will now think in the entertainment aspect, I'm like, all right, how can we market a different color so that we can name this Macc Boyz Blue? Or how can I add just a little bit more green into this? And they're like, we don't have this color in our thing. I'm like, name it Macc Green or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it puts me in a perspective of how we could get sponsorships. There's a shot in there. It was like, hey, Mom, go in there and be like, oh, this is a great place where we can drink iced tea on the outside. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, perfect. I had Mom say that. So now you reach out to an iced tea company like, listen, man, at each episode we could do. So it puts me in just this different business entertainment aspect of how can we market, how can we get sponsorships. So that's how it helps in the business aspect. Mm-hmm. And so that's the best
translating it to that, and that's huge because like we're gonna look at opportunities like that. Like, what if my water bottle said, and it was right at the camera, and like, what if I had a?
That's why I turned these around. They not paying us to do this.
That's
if
what
we
I'm
was
saying.
getting paid, it'd be like right there. Yeah. But since they not, they only get.
It's all good.
I go there every time I'm watching the show. I'm like advertising.
And I like this company, and this isn't an ad, but these guys are local, and they make awesome merch, and I like them, so I rep them. But you use stuff that you believe in. So with you, Jonathan, like mentoring these young men, if I'm, let's say, 20 years old and I want to crack into real estate investing, like what would be like a tip that you would give somebody on their, just to get into it? Is there something that you did to learn, or did you just dive in and figure it out?
So I dived in and just kind of figured it out with Big Willie, right?
Big Willie. He's gonna love this one.
Right. But honestly, right now, and I love this because there is a shortage of, and if we're gonna just kind of be real about it, minority workers getting into the trades and into that field. And that's what kind of started my passion for just like mentoring young men and kind of trying to expand their mindset when it came to the trade. So what I would say right now is there are so many programs for youth that are, I mean, you have an SDL Youth Build. I don't want to necessarily start shouting out different names, but you have so many, like even the technical high schools, North and South Tech. I just got a young man into their program, just talking to the teacher. There's so many programs for youth that are in the high school age range, but then even when you move beyond that, they're just trying to get people into the field. So there's so many training programs, 3-month training programs. St. Louis Community College is offering them now. I mean, so I would encourage somebody for the technical side or more of the hands-on contractor side, just look up a program. They're there, and you do not have to pay for them. Like there are scholarships because they've already projected that 15 years out, there's going to be a shortage and you see again in St. Louis, we're building.
We have no friends that are contractors, and we're 26. That works on the computer, and they make good money.
Everybody wants that, computer office job or whatever. And it's just exposing people. Like you can make good money with this. I'm staying close to the trends of everything. We're actually hiring people from out of town at alarming rates to come here temporarily to build our buildings because there's just not enough young people getting into it. So that's what I would say for that. Getting on the realtor side of things, there's real estate school that, there's awesome opportunities that you can still work within, mentor realtors in the Realtor Youth Program that you could get into through St. Louis Realtor Association, that you can kind of start exploring that career as well.
So you buy, sell, do because you guys do it all in house. It's that Macc difference,
man. I was telling him one day, I actually got upset. One of our houses sold. The lady was driving by, and she said, and she literally was the one that bought the house. She said, I've been driving by this house for like a couple of months, and I've already seen what you all are doing. And we had hired a realtor, from that sold a house like down the street. And so I was like, hey, man, this is what we want. He did not have to do anything. We told him about the lady. I said, this lady keeps calling us, and she drove by and wanted nothing.
You could have represented her, and So you paid him 2.5%, 3%.
Man, I remember that comment. I was like, never
all you did was sign the
again.
paper.
That's all. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go to realtor school, and we're going to keep it all in-house. And not just that may have motivated it, but then it's good to have the inside knowledge now.
And you have control over the process, and it's just more of a seamless thing. And then you make a little bit more money. That 2, 3, 5% adds up after a while.
It adds up. Adds up.
But it is a bonus to know all the ins and outs. Everything.
I like when you said that because I do that with mine. Like I've done all my taxes. I outsource that now, but I wanted to know how it worked. I wanted to know how to do website building before I hire somebody to build websites for us. I wanted to know how to run the ads just in case that person falls through. I have camera. I can go take pictures if I have to. Just because you just never know, and your business is on the line. They don't care about your business as much as you care about your business, and that's just a fact. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that they might call in sick when you would be sicker and come in that same day.
Right.
And don't be going to work sick nowadays, guys. But no, I'm just playing. But for real though, and knowing every part of it is just huge. So. And
that's true. And the thing I think I have to balance now is learning how to delegate even more, which it'll force you to.
Let go of some of the control.
You have to because you learn it. Yeah, you have to scale up. And somebody's, there's that saying that, are you working your business or is your business working you? And it was times where the business was just working me and, I wasn't scaling it up. And so I think that was a benefit of learning, just like, okay, you can let it go. It's okay.
Yeah.
So.
Do you guys have any inspiring messages to give to listeners of St. Louis or people who just want to maybe do what you're doing or just anything positive, any message?
I think we said it earlier. One of my things is, and I'm learning the value of consistency. Again, one of the things that My godmother tells me this all the time. She's like, you just are that type of person where if you sit down for 2 seconds, you'll learn a new skill. And I can, if I just give it enough attention. But that means that, and there's that saying, like, you can be the jack of all trades, right? But the master of none. And I'm learning now the value of consistency. You know, it's no issue with learning new things and, I'll do this. Well, then I'll do this. But if I could just focus maybe more on the real estate side or just focus on the contracting side, consistency will scale you up so much faster if you're prepared for it, you know, having that preparation and consistency. So if there's anything that you want to do, stick to it. I know that sounds so corny and like such a canned statement, but consistency is the big thing.
Now, the two for me, and I tell my brothers this all the time, my little brothers, or I guess they're all little brothers. So the two youngest, I'm like, if you have time to be on social media, you have time to learn something new. Even if it's if you take 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, every other day, every other 3 days, and just put that into like a YouTube video and just learn something, you could like eventually be able to spend that. You would be able to use that for yourself or make money off of it. So that's something that's always kind of stuck to me. And I have the other one tatted on my side. It's a quote that my dad always said to me of do not despise the days of small beginnings. So the days of just hardship or the days of where you just feeling down or whatever, because I personally have depression. I had to take meds for it, and it's sometimes it's hard, and I understand that these cloudy days don't last always. These days will make me into the person that I will become, because these days might be hard for me, and now that I'm exposing it and I'm sharing it either on stage or on a podcast or whatever, now there's somebody that's gonna watch this that's like, I'm going through my stuff, and if Willie can do it, then I can do it. If Willie felt like this happened to him, I'm going through the similar process, then I can handle that too. And so do not despise the days of small beginnings. I know it sucks. I know it's going to be tough. You're not going to sometimes see a way out of it, but there will be a way. We don't know when, but it will happen. So just stay on the path. And one of the books that really helped me with that particular one was The Alchemist. There's a book, I love that book because I heard so many people talk about it, and it was just one of those books about understanding and falling in love with the journey. And that's very important, especially even in the entertainment side. Like I said, me and Jon have been trying to sell this show that aired on HGTV since 2016. It is 2022, but we did not give up. We kind of gave up, but he thought that I gave up, but still,
you were still open.
I was still open to it, and I was still doing my thing. It took me 13 years to get to where I'm at and stand up, and it still got a long ways to go. It's a journey. Fall in love with the journey. If it's a passion, fall in love with that passion. So those are the things that
fall in love with the process. The process of it, and just falling up. And you said a quote, like there's a quote by Tupac, and it's through every dark night there's a brighter day. Kind of leading back to that, and I think in 2022 you need people like you guys to talk about mental health, especially Black men like that, because for some reason if somebody goes to therapy they're weak, and that's not
talked about,
true.
and there's a stigma.
So that's huge that you guys, athletes, NBA players, and people talk about them, and it's like, why would you? That guy already took enough courage to come out as a 7-foot tall big NBA player to come out and talk about how he's feeling, or something like that, and then people just bash him. He's like, that's why they don't talk about it. But there are kids that are like, okay, well, if I think it was like Kevin Love and a couple other basketball players, but they were like, wait, Kevin Love, he's a $100 millionaire, and he has it's
definitely a conversation.
And it advocates for getting help, just taking care of your well-being, your
self-care.
Don't work them 12-hour days all the time.
Take some time, and I will fly out. I will. I am good for that. I'm like
spontaneously or just
spontaneous.
You don't plan?
Okay. No,
I love that.
I just go on like a shopping trip, or even in the middle of a flip. I was just like, I need like 3 days.
Okay.
Or 3. That's okay too. I feel that. So with that said, then what would your ideal STL day be? Like, what are some of your favorite spots that you would want to highlight? Just what's a feel-good STL day look like?
So I'm a downtowner. And so I love the Arch Grounds. My building, I can see the arch from where I stay. So I go out early mornings and watch the sunrise.
I'm like, you probably get some great.
Oh my goodness. And when you're kind of looking down at the city, it's just a different, and this is one thing I do with my mentees. I'll drive them through downtown and maybe some of the little like yuckier parts of downtown. And I'm like, what do you see? And I'm like, a whole bunch of mess. And then I'll go and drive over into Illinois and come across the bridge. And I'm like, you know, even at night, I'm like, now how do you look at the city? And they're like, man, look at the skyline. And when you change your
especially when you drive them over to Illinois, you're like, wait, what? And then you come straight
and then
back
you come back over. I mean, I do that. That's like one of my weird things I'll do. I'll just drive over the bridge and just see St. Louis at night.
Is that the Stam Bridge, the white?
The
white,
new one. Even the MLK.
bridge
Yeah,
too.
even the MLK coming over that. So I love City Garden, but I love the Arch Grounds as well.
Okay.
Restaurants that I love, Rooster. Amazing.
They just moved the one that was close to you. Just moved. Yeah.
They did. Yeah, they got the one on South Grand that
that's one we always go to.
Yeah, so I love them. Trying to find a good chicken and waffle place, but I got some place on my
City
radar
Foundry's
for this
got one.
weekend.
The City
Foundry does have one.
Yeah, I saw that. I tried that one out. City
Yeah.
Foundry is cool too.
Yeah, that was cool. So downtown, like some food spots. So I work at Ballpark Village. So like you got like all Ballpark Village there. You got the Cardinal Stadium. You got Salt and Smoke over there in the corner for an easy lunch. So what about you? What do you get when you fly in? Like I got to get this when I fly.
Every time I fly in, there's a couple things that I just have to do. One, me and my mom takes this drive around the back of our house in this wooded area and just look at nature. Because one thing about LA, you don't get to see stars. You don't get to, because it's so smoggy, it's whatever. You have to drive like hours out to even see like stars in there. So we will just drive, and at night I will just look up into the sky, especially during the summer. I'll be in the back of my dad's truck and I'll just look up and just enjoy the scenery and just nature.
Take it in.
I have to get emos every time I fly in. Some people feel their way about emos. Some people they like love emos, and anytime someone like a comedian comes into town, they're like, "What should I do?" I like try emos. Yeah. You either love it or you don't. I enjoy it.
I like emos.
I love emos too.
I love it too.
Yeah, and then other than that, just really for me, it's about spending time with family, because LA is such a busy city. You're always doing something fast-paced. You don't get to, okay, we got to go here. Like I'm doing 2 shows this night, 3 shows this night. I got to drive to
Stuck
San
in
Diego.
traffic.
Traffic?
I can't. Oh,
Oh my
I can't even imagine. That would be terrible.
So I like to take my time when I am here, and then just to see my family. My mom makes sure we do family night, and just
So it's
really,
not always work.
It's not always work.
Because I figured
work.
it's a business trip, but it's
No.
not a business trip.
No. There's
Balance.
business happening.
Yeah, balance.
Yeah, it's a good balance.
It's fun though. You get to come home and like have that, and then you have your own thing too that you're passionate about, and just having. And I have a lot of things that I like to do. Same with hers. Like you have to have different outlets, and that's same with kids. Is like there has to be something you can do between the hours or when you get off school to when you're down that doesn't get you in trouble. You know, and if that's working or that's coming to you and saying, hey, let me just show me how to tuck point or show me how to cut, some, whatever it might be. So. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you all. This was great. Thank you for the conversation.
Yeah,
Thank you for
definitely.
having us today.
Yeah,
That's great.
it was amazing to hear you guys' story. I feel like, I don't know, like I'm kind of starstruck, it's kind of crazy. I didn't want to hype you up too much during the show, but like you guys are like, you guys are on TV and it's just crazy. And like, we live in a social media world, but there's still something different about being on TV. You can make crazy videos and put them on social, but it's like once you're on the big screen, it's like, it's crazy. So.
And even just speaking of social, I want you all to follow My Flipping Family HGTV on Instagram and tag HGTV because the more they see that people are watching it, because people are sharing it, but HGTV doesn't see that. They're not saying we see it, but we want screenshot it, share it, tell a friend,
you
tell a
screenshot
friend
it too, so that you can put together a proposal. Like, look at all these screenshots.
I have the screen.
You got it. Okay.
Like Public Enemy shouted us out. Like the old school Public Enemy. Yeah, they shouted us out. And I was like, what? Screenshot.
We want them to see it. Like when they're like opening
Live
up,
time,
they're like,
real
oh,
time.
look at
It's
all
a real
these
big
people.
deal. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than St. Louis. It's big. It's just huge. It's a huge
Doing
deal.
a great thing. It's
Thank
exciting.
you.
We're so excited.
And me and John are coming out with a book in a few months.
Children's
Give
book.
the details because it's going to be in March. So.
Yeah.
So in a couple of months, So a month or two from when this airs.
It's March 16th.
March, but go for it, yeah.
The Adventures of Dylan and Perry. What do we call it? Treehouse Trouble.
Yeah.
And so, if you follow our Instagram, we're going to do a big release on Instagram for our children's book. Be looking out for our, we're going to have a coffee shop opening in the fall. Again, if you follow our social media, we'll be there in U City. Yeah, we'll be in U City opening that.
Which
Side of U City?
On the Loop?
No, not on the Loop. So we're on Olive.
What location
We'll be close to Midland and Olive.
Okay.
By Heman Park.
Oh, okay. So you're close. Yeah, you're close.
Yeah,
to
we're
the
close.
County. You're in the county there. So what's it called?
We haven't
came up with a name yet. Well, at first we were gonna call it Macc Cafe.
Okay.
But then it was like, it might be too close and whatever. But then in my comedic brain, I was like thinking of Coming to America, where they had McDougal's.
Yeah. And like spell M-A-C-C, like big M-A-C-C and then small doodles under it.
That's funny. No. It was just Macc Cafe, but I was making fun of.
Coming to America, the second one.
Yeah.
Right?
So we haven't decided on a name just yet. We're playing with some things in our head, but when it opens, everybody's going to.
We're going to reach
send
out.
us a message. We'll post it out. We'll come to the opening. We'll have some content. We have a content team and everything.
Great.
So like we come out.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Man,
we'll come out.
that would be
some
so
content.
awesome.
And put it on the STL bucket list because people support local restaurants and I don't know if you're gonna have food too, but just like a cafe.
It's gonna be bigger. It's not gonna be just some regular place where you just go get a coffee or whatever. We wanted this to really be a vibe.
It's gonna be such a vibe. It's gonna be so cool. You all are gonna get to see our design aspects come out in it. We're gonna really make sure it's trendy and comfortable. It's gonna be amazing.
Have somebody that can then go work, take a meeting, or if you just want to chill out and have a
chill.
So
we will definitely let you all know. We're so excited about that.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Hey, again, you're listening to the STL Bucket List Show. It was a pleasure hosting the Macc Boyz, guys. We got to learn a lot about St. Louis. We got to learn a lot about just being a good person in general. So if you guys are tuning in, subscribe to our YouTube. We're trying to blow up on there. We're just trying to help support St. Louis, guys. So thank you so much.